I'll turn my microphone on. And the first item of the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd like to join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Oh, hey, there he is. All right, the next item on our agenda is the public comments section. If any member of the public has any comments they'd like to make at this time, we ask that you come to the podium and state your name, and you have 3 minutes to address the board with any questions or concerns. Yes.
Patrick Ziske, I'm a resident. I have two things quickly. One, I would like to see if we can get an update on anything that may have happened regarding the termination of the 4.4 mills. Any progress has been made or where it's sitting right now. I saw something in the what's it called? The budget resolution, or the thing that has to be amended tonight. I forget the name of it exactly. It says something like the township shall levy the 4.4 mills. And I just wonder if that has any legal force that is requiring us or binding us to do that. So that's just a question, because the word shall is a very strong word legally. And the other thing I'd like to say on the subject of the office manager, I think fundamentally, this is a good idea if it offloads some routine tasks that are otherwise taking up a lot of time of the 3 officers that are in the office. So I'm supportive of it in principle. I would like to see some discussion of what the positive impact of this will be in some kind of tangible way. I'd just like to see that kind of laid out. I'm looking forward to the discussion, because I think there are people who may be skeptical and they need to hear a good justification, which I think there is one. But thank you.
Thank you. Other public comments? All right.
Hello, Trenda Eversole, Sylvan Township resident. I just want to mention, actually, Dave Reineck's correspondence to the March 5th Board of Trustees meeting. I was not there, so I did not see what transpired. I did see the email and such that Dave sent. I just would like to say, I think it's disheartening that there was a situation that the police had to be summoned again for one of the board members. I think that as a board, every one of the board members should have stood up to stop the altercation or whatever was going on, the disruptance of the meeting. I think that as a board, you are all to hold the decorum for each other, whether you agree or disagree with each other. And as adults, we all need to realize that we have these rules for a reason. I think it was, I just finding that it wasn't noteworthy for the minutes, I thought was just blew my mind. That to me seems like something that's very important, because in months from now, when we look back at these minutes, which is the only thing we're going to have are these minutes in the history of the notes that are taken for these business meetings, there would be no mention of it. And if this happens over and over and over again in our meetings, it sets a standard, and we have to raise the standard of these meetings so that we don't have these kind of attacks towards different people. I also, if the situation was switched towards a different member of the board, say the clerk, would there have been minutes that reflected that? Because I'm thinking that if it was reflected, if there was an attack like that towards a different member of the board, that it would have reflected it in the minutes just because of the narrative of each of these minutes that are taken. We all come to these meetings and we know what goes on. The minutes don't always reflect that. And I just think that these are the type of things that it needs to reflect so that us as a community can look at them and say, this is what's continuing to happen at all these meetings, and we cannot let it keep going. Other than that, I appreciate everything that you guys do on the board and keep up the good work.
Public comment? We do have another public comment period at the end of the meeting, if you have anything you'd like to say. All right. I'm going to mention real quick, just because I forget sometimes to come around at the end of the meeting, the General Appropriations Act that Patrick was referencing. I did check with the attorney to make sure that if we could still repeal the 4.4, and he said, yes, it's a resolution, we can change it as the year goes on. So if we find we're able to not assess that this year, we could just amend the resolution. All right, then moving on with the consent agenda is the next item, which contains the April minutes, presentation of bills, correspondence, reports from committee, the board, and departments.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Nope. No. Open for discussion right now. I would just like to say that I had sent an email with some changes to the minutes that I saw that needed to happen. Did you get that email?
I saw the email, yes. I just
Yeah.
requested you bring those amendments.
I can bring what I believe needs to be changed, but one of the things it says on page 2, it doesn't say who made the motion. And I can't, without listening to the entire meeting, I can't bring that forward. So that's something that needs to be changed. Let's see. So under the set of minutes, it wasn't clear what Sandy's revisions were. I asked for the minutes of March 5th to be pulled for discussion, not March 25th.
Okay, hang on just 1 minute.
Okay.
So I just want to.
That's okay, it's an email, but I'll read it again.
Yep.
It is not clear what Sandy's revisions are and to which set of minutes.
Okay, but what verbiage would you want
Oh.
added to the minutes? I just need the actual verbiage.
I
you
don't,
want.
I'm not gonna go back and listen to the meeting again to tell you what happened at the meeting. I would just like, that it be clear in the minutes. I sent this
I know,
May 1st, so there was plenty of time to go back and listen to it.
I know, but
So-
the way that my understanding is that I draft the minutes and I posted them publicly for you to review
Correct.
within 9 days. I think it was 9 days
It's 8,
after.
Correct.
No, but by the time I was able to get it to you, yes.
Right.
And Rod posts the video online right
Right.
after the meeting, so it would have given you plenty of time to come with the
But
specific
that's not-
revisions. It
that's
is though.
But that's not my job to do. It's your job to capture it. I don't know who played it, so I'm not going to go
No,
back.
it's
through
my
and
job to
listen.
draft them. That's
Right.
what the clerk's job is.
Right.
And then if you want, if
Then I
you want
guess
to
it's not
amend it.
going to be clear in your minutes who made motions. Because that's
I
what
get
it
it,
is.
and if we
There's
missed,
no,
and if you
but
missed it,
I-
then you could have listened to the video as well. That's
as
why I,
have you, Amanda, it's your job, and I sent this to you over a week ago. And this is the way it operates under the boards in which I serve, is people get the minutes in the meantime, and you have an opportunity to address them with the minute taker before we come in front of the meeting.
Not if
And
they-
have to spend 10 minutes talking about revisions that you were aware of a week ago.
it was already posted publicly,
That's
so the
fine.
draft was the
That's
draft.
fine, and now we're approving it, and I'm saying, these are the changes. I told you a week ago, these are the changes that need to be made in the draft.
And not in the draft, they would be made in the approved minutes. And I
Correct.
said,
They're
please bring your
making-
amendments is what my email
You
said.
can say whatever you want to say. I'm not listening to the meetings again. What I would like is for it to say that it
Okay.
is not clear what Sandy's revisions are. I think I already said this, and into which set of minutes. I asked for this March 5th, 2024 minutes to be pulled for discussion, not March 25th. The motion was carried by voice vote, but I would like to have my no vote recorded, please. On page 3, under the wave bus support, it says there's a motion, but not who made the motion.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I believe that's it. Any other discussion on the consent agenda?
Seconded?
Yep,
No
okay.
discussion?
Any other, that's what I'm asking, any other discussion? All right, then we will take a vote on approving the consent agenda as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Thank you. Now we will move to the approval of the consent agenda. And I would like to propose that,
For the regular agenda.
I'm sorry, the irregular agenda. Thank you. The unfinished business employee policy manual. Don't think anything has been done on that since we last discussed it. And I think that's probably more appropriate for a work session. So I would like to just remove that item from the agenda for tonight. I also think we can remove the budget amendment for Memorial Day flags. Because we don't have that document, that's a $25 adjustment that will be need to this year's budget, so we can do in a budget amendment. When we have other items to amend.
We are removing employee policy manual and the Memorial Day flags and placement of American Legion. Sorry. Those two items.
Just the
No.
budget amendment. We don't have a budget amendment to vote on
The
tonight.
budget amendment part. Okay,
Right.
so not,
I think we can still vote on whether we want to increase.
got it.
you know.
Okay. Yep.
Anybody, I also heard from a couple board members or a board member that we have discussed the office manager position in the past and said we were going to discuss that at a work session. And that was also a lot to bite off and chew here at our regular business meeting. So perhaps, it would be advisable for us to table that office manager job description as well. If, I don't know how the board feels about that. I just heard from somebody.
Since we're all here, can we just set a work session now? For these things?
I don't think I can.
That would be
Let's
great.
just do it. I don't have my other schedule. So we have to do it via email.
Okay, well, we don't have another meeting now this month, so hopefully maybe in 2 weeks from now, can we all just capture that and make sure that we can hold that? But yes, we'll follow up with an email.
That'd be great.
I'll move to approve the regular agenda as amended.
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion and support. Is there any other discussion on the agenda? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Thank you. Motion carries. All right, then I guess the first item under new business is the Air Serv Heating and Cooling Maintenance Contract. So Susan gathered this, put this out. She contacted Air Serv, who have been doing our maintenance on our air conditioning, HVAC for years. They're going to keep the cost of their Advantage plan the same as last year. And she's included, the quote. Looks like it's 5 tune-ups, but we have how many, 2 different AC units? 4? Okay, so Susan's explanation of agenda item says Air Serv has been performing maintenance on our HVAC system for years. They will keep the cost of their Air Advantage plan the same as last year, $750. According to the attached, this quote does not include any unforeseen tasks or materials which may be found necessary to complete repairs or replacements.
I'll move to approve the air serv.
I'll second.
Motion and support. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, thank you. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the Robin Hills fireworks application. So Robin Hills, was approved for a special use events permit for fireworks, public fireworks display at the Planning Commission meeting on April 18th, 2024. They've submitted 2024 firework application and all the requirements for the application have been fulfilled. Amanda, I see this is your item. Do you have any?
That's the description. There, as it says, the requirements have been fulfilled. I don't think there's anything else that they will need to do. So I would like to move to approve the Robin Hills Farm 2024 fireworks application with the proposed display date of June 29th, 2024, and a rain date of June 30th, 2024.
Right. Motion from Amanda, support from Sandy. I just want to look real quick. I see the fireworks application and the notes and you got the insurance form. Awesome. Okay. So let's see. So the firework, the proposed date is June 29th with a rain date of June 30th. All right. I know that the Robin Hills went through a lot when they went to the planning commission to get their special use permit approved. So I believe as long as the special use has been approved by the planning commission, I'm feeling okay with that as well. Is there any other discussion?
Yeah, so because they're getting a special use permit, this means that they weren't originally permitted to do this under the zoning. So they're now asking for a special permit. And are we saying the planning commission discussed it and were okay with it? But there's no paperwork here that says the planning commission.
They also did tell the planning commission that we need to have a sit down and revisit what you can and can't do from the original plans.
And then, I don't see anything from Scott Pacheco that says, yes, this is okay, or any paperwork from Scott?
Well,
It was approved at the planning commission level. And so, I mean, Scott. and I
Scott was
discussed
there.
it. Yeah, I don't think we've ever,
No.
he's not given us anything written.
Mm-mm.
The fact, I mean, most of the requirements were fulfilled when they applied for the special use.
Because the only reason I'm asking is because I went and met with a neighbor that had noise complaints over the years
mhm.
about the music being too loud. And if he thought the music was too loud, I think the fireworks can be a little louder. So how do we communicate to the people that live in the area that this is gonna happen? I mean, or is that not our job? We just post something in the paper that says this is gonna happen?
Well, I would imagine, I personally feel like they're probably going to be doing their advertising. I don't know that I want to spend resident money to post on behalf of Robin Hills that they're having it. If we had a way that we could reach all Sylvan residents easily and not very expensive, I'd be a big fan of, letting them out. We could put it on the website.
I knew that.
In the past, this is sort of a dual thing, because in the past, when the board has approved, fireworks application, it's traditionally been like for Bollingers, and they're just coming in for the fireworks thing. So this is a little different because it also has the layer of the special use permit, which Scott was heavily involved with, which involved, site plan, looking at the plan where the parking was going to be, that sort of thing. It would be nice to have the planning commission minutes in here. I agree, because then we could kind of see what they asked.
Okay, nothing
But-
additional.
All right. All right.
Isn't this, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm wrong, isn't this Chelsea's firework display at Robin Hills?
No, last year, the Chamber of Commerce was going to do the fireworks at Robin Hills. And so we sort of had two entities coming
I was
at
thinking
us.
last year.
So this year, the Chamber's not involved. I think Robin Hills is just taking it on, which is a little bit of a segue into the next thing. Well, I won't go there.
Okay,
yet.
that's
Let's-
okay. I just,
Okay,
I was remembering from last year.
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Okay.
nope, it's all Robin Hills driven this
Okay.
year. Any other questions, comments? All right, we have a motion and support for the motion to approve the Robin Hills 2024 fireworks application. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, thank you. Motion carries. So the next item is also sort of involved with this, and because of the number of people that Robin Hills is anticipating coming to the fireworks, it triggered a gathering permit in our ordinances that they needed to get. And so I think Amanda, did you put this one in? Is
I
this,
did.
I want to talk over your item if you wanted to.
So this is the temporary gathering permit application. You see it under the request form. And normally this would carry a $1,500 deposit, but they fulfilled everything that they needed other than just providing additional insurance when they applied for the special use permit. So I would like to waive that deposit. They've given me the deposit, they've given me the monies, but we're just holding it. So I wanted us to make a decision tonight. So I think it's appropriate to waive it.
Is that your motion then?
I would like to move to waive the 1,500, because we need to discuss that first. Move to waive the $1,500 deposit. And if we decide to do that, I guess I could still make it the whole motion. So move to waive the $1,500 deposit and approve the Robin Hills Farm 2024 temporary gathering permit for their June fireworks display.
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. Motion and support. So the item's open for discussion.
So this is a deposit that would have been refunded after the event. You just want to do it ahead of time?
No, it wouldn't have been refunded because we decided on this application fee because of all the reviews that were necessary. Because the temporary gathering permit could cover other events like a circus or a music festival. But because they already fulfilled all of those requirements when they came in before the planning commission, with that fee, because they paid the special use permit application fee for the planning commission review. All of that was done at that level. So it doesn't make sense that we wouldn't then ask them to pay another fee when they've already
Got it.
fulfilled all the requirements.
That's all I have.
Mhm. All right, and then so the temporary gathering permit is submitted here. Okay, oh, I think some, okay. And then how? Okay. How are do you have any? So Adam Kofsky from Robin Hills is here tonight. Oh, is it okay? I have a couple questions. I'm just curious how you're going to do the parking. Is it, so, is everybody's, I would imagine, kind of trickling in and then everybody's going to be leaving at once? What's the situation with that? Mm-hmm. Hmm. Everybody's just goes out right. Okay. With the state police or the sheriff? Really? Interesting, because I asked the state police, because they're here and in and out, and they were like, yeah, we don't do that. And I was like, oh, I thought maybe there, it was a misunderstanding. It was the sheriff, but okay, good.
And I think you
Alright.
have that outlined here in the board packet. I included your letter. So I know you have a parking plan and traffic management. So you've already-
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep,
It's in your letter. So thank you.
good, perfect. It's helpful to talk about things here so people know then without having to look, it's like, oh, well, they've made a plan for it. So wonderful. Okay. Any other questions then? It's a bunch of times. All right. Then we will take a vote on the motion to waive the deposit and approve the temporary gathering permit. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, thank you. Motion carries. I lost my second page though. There it is. Okay, next is a contract with an environmental specialist. for a tow yard. As you may know, Kearns Towing has, a tow yard proposal in front of the planning commission right now. Scott Pacheco said that the planning commission wanted to get an environmental specialist to do a study of the impact of a tow yard on that parcel since it's so close to the water tower and our wells, especially to make sure that the water would be protected. So Scott reached out to Midwest Engineering. They said they don't do that, but recommended this gentleman, Andrew Fogg. And I put these was late coming. So he sent his contract on Friday and Scott did a memo on Monday. So I set this at your spot. So Scott has his outline here. Given the intricacy of the project, following consultation with the township engineering, it was determined an environmental specialist would be necessary for comprehensive evaluation and provision of requisite feedback. So they recommended Andrew. And this contract would be paid for by the applicant. I believe he has over $3,000 in his trust and agency account right now, so that would cover this contract. And Scott has emailed Mr. Kearns and let him know this is the proposal that came through and what his balance is. So our ordinances said that any contracts that we have will be approved by the board. So I think Scott is looking for, and I am looking for an approval of this contract with Environmental Consulting Solutions.
Second.
All right.
Repeat the motion, please. What's the motion?
How about just approve the environmental?
So I move that we approve the contract with environmental specialist Andrew Roy to look at the potential impact of the tow yard because of its location so close to the wells.
Okay, thank you.
And that was support from you, Rod?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Yes, so for the $3,000, what are we physically receiving? Is it a written report?
His contract is here. It should be on
It's got
your,
it in here.
should be in there. The guy,
I read through it. It
Okay.
wasn't clear to me what,
oh, I see.
because in there they did one of these things where they say any engineering that they do is their property. And they get to keep it.
I saw it in, maybe it was the email I.
To me, it's sort of unusual. If I'm paying you to do this, then I'm paying you to do work for me and I expect you to hand me the work. that I paid you.
Does they provide the township with recommendations for best practices to reduce the likelihood of future contamination associated with the proposed operation?
So it'll be in the form of a written report.
It sounds like that to me. I would expect
'Cause
that.
I saw it somewhere. There was a report that was gonna be forthcoming from.
And so we would just be approving this. I think, right. It gets up to Mr. Kearns if he's say.
So the contract is between Sylvan Township and this engineering firm.
Correct. And they would be doing the work for us, but Mr. Kearns would pay for it because,
Right.
yeah, right, because it's due to his project, so,
And
correct.
then when we get the written report, we can then use that to work further with Kearns.
Correct. And I think the planning commission tabled their issue right now, and so they're waiting for this information. If we approve it tonight, Andrew has said he can turn around his proposal within a week and have it at the planning commission for next week for their consideration in the
That's all.
project.
That's all I have. Thank you.
And I think
yeah.
the other piece that the planning commission wanted, they were exempt. I wish I could remember the wording from the email.
Mm,
There was another piece that the planning commission wanted. Do you remember what that was, Sandy? There was two things that, the impact, but then there was something else. But because they were not repairing vehicles there,
Right.
at this time, they were exempt from that part of it.
And mentions it. Scott's memo or.
Yeah,
somewhere.
right. I saw that.
Right. So this is sort of above and beyond what Mr. Kern has to do.
Yeah.
So who currently owns the property?
I don't know offhand.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So
I
we're-
think usually the way some of these things work, so Kurt, is they bring the proposal forward and all that is contingent
Right.
upon approval and
Right.
purchase.
But what we're doing is we're approving a contract to go on somebody else's property and take soil sample. It seems like we would talk to that property owner and say, are you okay with us having a contractor come on your land?
Mhm. Well, and I'm sure Scott has thought of that. He's a
Yeah.
pretty astute guy or if they're selling it, you know, if they're obviously marketing it because this individual knows and wants to purchase, then I think it would behoove them to say, yeah, come and, but I know what you're saying. We want to be respectful of people's
Right.
property rights, of course. So, right.
Maybe the
right.
planning commission is addressing that.
I think probably so. And, or Scott through the planning commission.
Okay. I'll check with Scott.
Okay. All right, but for the matter of the contract, we had the motion from Sandy and the support from Rod. Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Thank you. All right. I keep losing my second page. What's on the? Oh, next is the disclosure of conflict. This is also regarding the proposed tow yard. Mr. Kearns is using Midwest Engineering for his development. Sylvan Township has traditionally used Midwest Engineering for our review. In the past, the board has acknowledged that Midwest Engineering is handling both of the items. They'll say, you know, we have said in the past, one side of the house of Midwest Engineering is handling for the developer, and the other side of the house is reviewing those plans for the township. So this is happening. The principal at Midwestern Engineering, Brandon Walker, sent this letter to the board disclosing this conflict of interest. And so if this is something that the board determines is acceptable, we should have that acknowledged tonight. I did also forward everybody an email that I got from the attorney. I said, hey, will you look at this letter real quick? I don't know that he necessarily loved this arrangement. He said he could see where this, could be problematic. But again, we've handled this in the past, so the board can determine, you know, today of how we want to manage this going forward.
Well, what Mr. Nethal says is what I don't like is that they will have internal conversation about the project without any township administrative participation. So is there a way to mitigate that? Is there a way?
Well, and I believe
For
he
us
says
to-
in his letter that they vowed that they would not do that. I know the attorney read the letter. I'm assuming he still has concerns even after reading it. And maybe
No
Scott can
project
play a part in
comments
that.
will Be considered official unless written in letter or email form. Right.
And any email communication will include the township's planner for full transparency. And as Scott is working on this project as it goes through, he'll be working closely with Midwest and the developer. So maybe if there was someone who could help mitigate that, I would think it would be Scott, because he's
agree.
gonna be, you know.
I think if Scott even thinks he'll be on it.
Right.
And I think Midwestern is a pretty stand-up company from all of the dealings we've had over the years. Just my opinion on it anyways.
So just sort of thinking out loud, the reason you do an engineering review is to have a second set of eyes
Mhm.
reviewing the work. It's, to me, it's really not a conflict of interest. It's somebody does their engineering and then somebody checks their work. In this case, we would have nobody checking their work. Which puts
Well-
a lot of trust in that Midwest gets it right the first time.
What I think it means is that they have an individual who's going to be leading, so they have, the private development team lead by, Tom Covert, works exclusively on private developer, and then a municipal team led by Scott Fisher, who is Adam Lalick's supervisor, who took over for Sue. So it sounds to me as though they sort of have, again, two houses within Midwest. One house, one side is going to be the developers. This side will be reviewing it. They aren't the same eyes. They're going to be different sets of eyes, and if the eyes are looking together, it sounds like they're gonna communicate with the township planner anytime that those
So
two
the-
sides are talking.
The one in-house group will be paid for by Kearns. The other in-house group will be paid by Sylvan Township. And that will be put on the trust and agency account.
Correct. Like ultimately both paid by Kearns. He will pay for his, and then, he will pay
Okay.
for the township to have.
I feel a lot better about that. We want a second set of eyes
Correct.
looking at it.
Right. Right, and I think just the conflict would be on their behalf, that they're both, they seemingly the developer and the reviewer, but I think it's a large enough company, we've had a history with them, that you're right, that it would be separate people under Midwest doing the review,
Okay,
so.
that's all I have.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we acknowledge Midwest Consulting letter and disclosure of conflict and approve moving forward with Midwest Consulting for township engineering on the Kearns Tow Yard project.
I'll second.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Thank you. And then we just have a increase in the Memorial Day, the American Legion. Was this an email or something that came in the mail? They're going
It
to,
was, yeah, it was a letter that came in.
okay, so the Chelsea American Legion Post.
Yes.
That does the American or the Memorial Day flags, on the cemetery. They're asking for an increase from 300 to 375. I think we budgeted 350.
I think we did too.
So this will be a $25 increase over what we've done. It's pretty small, but it would be nice if the board would just acknowledge that we're going over budget, and then once we're a little more into the fiscal year and maybe we'll have other amendments to make, we'll include a budget amendment for $25 on this budget line.
I'd like to make a
Mhm.
motion to approve payment of $375 to the American Legion for the purchase and placement of American flags in the township cemeteries for Memorial Day, and to approve a budget amendment at a later date.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, thank you. Next we have we have a resolution modification to our General Appropriations Act. When we approved this at our March meeting, we also approved some other changes in the budget that were not reflected then in the resolution. And Deputy Kelly brought these to my attention. And so we looked at it briefly together. She put together this corrected resolution, and we looked at the numbers together. They are good and accurate. So apologies for the errors in the numbers. I would like to make a motion, we approve Sylvan Township Resolution 2410, which is a corrected General Appropriations Act of Sylvan Township fiscal year 4/1/2024 to 3/31/2025.
I'll second.
Need a roll call, okay, resolution.
You ready?
Okay, so those Kathy and Rod,
Yeah.
okay. Find it here. Kathy,
Yep.
Amanda, yes, Rod,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Sandy.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. And so we tabled the office manager description, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. Does that mean we're done with our new business?
Yeah.
I think we didn't add anything. All right. That concludes the business portion of the meeting. We have another public comment. If anyone would like to come up and address the board, you could do so at the podium. You have 3 minutes. Oh, yep, that's right.
Guys, look behind you, behind this meeting, but it's the calm before the storm. Wow. Looks pretty bad. But
Yeah.
I
Look
really
out
meant
that
to say
way.
this, I was impressed with how this meeting was run. By everybody. I just want to say that. And I also wanted to remind you that I made a request at the beginning of the meeting, to get some kind of an update on the 4.4. That's still possible. I'm looking forward to the work session. It's definitely the right thing to do.
Any other public comment? All right, Board of Trustee member comment. So Patrick, I will say that, I think when we left the 4.4 mills discussion, not sure there's been a lot of movement in the past month on that. As we know, we have until it would be assessed this coming fall or on the winter taxes, not that we're waiting around. But I believe we were getting tap fee numbers and I think Rod has that, is phoning in on it.
Desk.
And then I just need to send that. There was an email chain that I had with the attorney and the auditor and need to revive that conversation. What's up, the radar?
Tornado watch.
Tornado watch?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Keep moving.
Yeah, very good. And thank you. We will have let you know when the work session is. We're also looking at having a joint meeting of the planning commission and the board regarding the master plan with Sarah from Beckett and Rader. Unfortunately, this looks like it's going to be June now, possibly the 3rd or the 6th. Scott and I have talked about reaching out to the principal over there and saying that we're not very satisfied with the output we're receiving and the response that we're receiving. You know, Scott has had to email Sarah several times. I will email her. We send her documents. It's a long time in getting information incorporated, so it's a little disappointing. I know it's disappointing for the residents, and I may share that soon, so, okay.
Real quick, just want to comment on the minutes. The board had requested a long time ago that we shorten the minutes. Now, and I sent an email to the board saying now that we have adequate video and Rod and I have worked, we're trying to organize things so you can actually find the minute, or excuse me, find the meetings better. I'm trying to honor and trying to shorten them down to what was requested a long time ago. It has nothing to do with me, Kathy, anyone else. It has to do with the request from the board. So that what you see in the minutes are what we will see going forward. The truncated version really focusing on the actions taken, following some requests.
And I'll say that Amanda and I both have turned over that YouTube channel, trying to get it organized, and we finally figured out we have to turn it in, we have to upgrade the page.
Right.
So we're gonna upgrade the page and get it organized.
Because right now it is still hard to find the meetings, but if we pay
They're-
for the premium
They're
subscription.
in a date chronologically, but that's the best we can get them done right
What's the
now.
cost on that?
I'm sorry.
Would you know
About
the
100
cost
bucks
on
a
that?
year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's not very
bad.
much.
It's worth it so that you can find.
Yeah, it's worth it because we can, then we
Well,
can put a
if we know
planning
what it
commission
is, yeah.
folder.
Yeah,
We can put them in folders.
that would be great.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Motion to it. I'll
I'll
make a
move.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Good time.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Wow, 7:44.
Pretty good.
It was fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Be safe tonight.
Well, you're home, not just yet. Put this clouds out there.